guys, it's Tina Logassi here from Heirloom Designs, and today we are going to work on some cherry blossom flowers. This idea of attaching them onto an actual twig came from another maker, so I'm going to link below just that she has some credit for coming up with that idea because I did not. But I'm also going to show you a way that can make the base just using some of the brown floral wire instead if you don't have access to twigs or if you just would prefer to do that. So the pattern will be linked below along with the instructions. But I'm going to take you through how you're going to start this. So the first thing we're going to work on is the actual cherry blossom, the open flower, which is what you're seeing here. The other one we're going to do is the closed version. So with the open flower, you're going to take the rectangle piece from yellow fabric and you're going to cut it with 3mm zigzag scissors. And I always have to make sure that I hold it. I want to actually hold these upside down because I am left-handed. So if you also are left-handed, you might want to do that so you have the curve on the top. And then we're going to go through and just make little slit marks in between each of those curves. Okay, about halfway down is far enough. All right, then you're going to take a piece of floral wire. I've got 22 gauge floral wire here. And you're going to start by just gluing it onto one end here. So I've got the slits along that side. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And I'm going to start to wrap it, and I'm going to add a bit of glue as I go. Okay, just like that. So that's going to be your flower center. Then you can take, so I've got some done up here. This is the pattern piece cut out. This pattern does come with SVG files, so you can use them on your cutting machine or you can cut these out by hand. But all I've done here is taken a bit of chalk pastel. Don't get this confused with oil pastel. This is chalk pastel, and you can get it in different types. There's also as pan pastel, and this is excellent. I just don't have all the colors right now for it, but this is my favorite to work with. And then you've got these sticks that are actually quite nice too because you've got a lot of flexibility with how much color goes on. So I'm just going to darken the middle and just try to come up a bit of a line I find looks good on these. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then all you do is I like to take a large needle and roughly in the center make a starter hole. This is quite a large needle, so I probably don't have to go back in there with the awl, but if your hole isn't big enough, you can just go in there with your awl and make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to string that on, and then this will get glue on the bottom of that yellow center, and then pull this up. All right, and at this point you can already start to fold these over each other. This is an S.Nuraeni, I don't think I'm saying that right, but this is a technique. These folding and manipulating the felt techniques, I've seen her do a lot, and they're really quite great to get nice natural folds in there without a whole lot of effort. Keep in mind though, it does only work with wool blend felt. Pure wool felt, I feel like if you had a thin enough one, it would work nicely. This is a wool rayon blend that I work with and that I retail in my shop. I don't believe this would work well with acrylic felt or anything. You can see how that's got kind of wrinkles and stuff, got a little bit of shape to it now. And then the final step on these is to take one of the bottoms and you're going to just, again, make a hole in the center, and this will get glued up underneath. So what I like to do is I like to get it up close, and then from here just put a little bit of glue, not getting it on that center stem yet. I'm just putting like a little bit on each of these leaves, and then I'm going to pull it up and kind of just do this so that it is attached nicely all the way around. All right, so you can see I've got several that I've made, and I just leave them folded up until I'm ready to assemble them. So that's that one. Now for this is the closed version. So for the closed version, your pattern piece looks like this. I'll just use one of them for now. And as you can see, it's the outside that's getting the color. So I'm going to just go in and again, just kind of start in the middle. If you want to get more of an edge, you could try to find an edge, or if you're using pan pastel, use a thin brush to get it kind of focused in the center like that. Or you can go wider. This is really however you want to do it. All right, and with this one, you're going to go ahead and take a piece of your wire and bend the end just a little bit. Just so I've got a bit of an overhang. And then I'm going to poke, again, a hole through center. All right, and then this will go inside that hole. And I'm going to glue it, just add a little bit of glue there to hold it in place and keep it from shifting. Okay, just like that. So notice that the inside is just the white and it's the outside that has the pastel part. I like to just take a little bit of glue on the inside of those first sides of the petals, and then I'll fold each of these sides in, close them off, and then flip it around and do the same on that side. This always works better with a detail glue gun. I don't have a detail glue gun up here. I recommend the Sure Bonder if you are looking for a detail tip for this kind of work. I happen to have my Gorilla Glue gun up here, and it works pretty good for most things. But for this one, if you want the best results, I usually work on this downstairs, so that's why my glue gun's down there. And so I'm just going to take one of these little leaves and wrap it around this base, like that. So that gives you like a little bud. And this one is of it a little bit higher. And what else do I have over here? This one's quite a bit higher. So you just see it's just rolled around like that. All right, so then in order to attach these, you can see on this one is I've basically just, wherever there's a node on the actual, I didn't do all the nodes or this would like have a lot on it. I mean, you could, but wherever there's a node, I attach the wire for the cherry blossom. So you do have to be careful when it's a real branch. I mean, it could be prone to some breakage. The cherry twigs are pretty robust, but this particular one is not a cherry one, but I wanted to show it to you because it's all that I had. But then we're going to do one just with the wire, which is the most secure. So all you're doing is you're going to be shortening these up quite a bit. And you could decide to pair them with an unopened one like that, in which case I would wrap it a little bit together. Okay, so you're going to want to make your nodes quite short. And then you're going to come in and wrap this around that part of the twig. All right, and then you can like fluff these and have them face whichever way you want. And then I like to finish this off just with a little bit of glue so that it's not going to shift and move around on me. Okay, and then you can play around with the placement of these. So I put one there, then I might just do a single blossom, and maybe I'll come in on this side, for example, and twist this one around here. Like anything, you want to kind of keep balance in your mind when you're deciding like where you're going to put these blossoms along the stick and whether or not the stick's going to be viewed from just one side or all the way around. So you can see, or you can kind of build up this very natural look of cherry blossoms on a twig. So I want to take you through building a couple of branches for this little vase that I picked up the other day. So I'm going to take us back to this wire, which I've quite enjoyed working with. I like it because it's a bit more natural looking than if you have a thick version of this kind of a floral wire. The wrapped is very natural looking. And what I'm going to do is basically take, this is a real branch, and I found that the best way to make something look realistic is to follow something that's real. So I'm basically going to use this as a guide. And with my vase, it's probably going to need to be a bit shorter, but I can always shorten it up afterwards. So as you can see, I mean, you don't have to do it this way, but I just find you end up with like a very natural looking finished product. So this is my center stem. And the other thing I've discovered is, since we're working with twigs and these are buds on twigs, it makes the most sense to actually use a brown wire for these. So a lot of these are done with brown versus the green. I kind of have a mixture because there were some that I was doing during development. But this means, you know, when you go to wrap this with your brown tape and whatnot, it's just one less color to worry about. So the first thing we need to do on this main stem that I just cut is decide which of these little nubs you want to replicate, because each of those spots is where you're going to put either a blossom or a bud or a mixture of the two. So to start, I'm going to take a bunch of this wire and I'm going to cut it down into smaller sections. So probably this will be more than enough, probably 2 inches or so. Okay, and now I'm going to kind of line this up beside this one. And I see, okay, there's a nub there that I'm probably going to want to replicate. So I'm just going to twist this, nothing too difficult, around there, and have a little bit of length hanging off. And my next one's down here, and that's facing the other direction. I'm just going to do that. If you find the wire too hard to twist, you can also, or to when you get to that end bit, you can use your pliers to go through it. But this will eventually be covered with some of that brown floral wire or florist tape. So what have I done here? Sometimes they do twist around on you before you tape them in place, and so that's okay. All right, so I got one there, one there, one there. And I'll do this last one down here. Okay, and that's the basis of my center stem. So now I'm just gonna move that guy aside, and I'm gonna actually start to twist on some components. So you can decide if you want something right at the top, you can put something, so let's do that. And for that one, I am just going to twist it on that very top. And this happens to be a green wire because I was playing around. Okay, and then when you come into these pieces, I'm going to use like more of a closed one. What I like to do is line it up going this way and twist it. And again, if you need to implement the pliers, you can. And when I feel like I've got a good enough length, like that's pretty good, I'm going to cut it. And then this can get folded down. And again, that'll get covered with the tape afterwards. So this one, and something you do have to, even after you tape these, you can do a final adjustment of which direction these blossoms are facing. So the next one, I've got one that's a combination of already of a bud and a blossom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that twisting thing. Fold it down. You can also fold this part up. Sometimes it depends on where you are in your stem, or how, if you've got components that are going to be really close together, you may only be able to put it in the one direction. So that's kind of whatever you find is working. So I'm just going to take a bud for this one. Trying to keep them all just a little bit different. All right, and then for my last one, I think I'll just do a blossom. So this one I'm going to put aside for now. And that, like I said, that's my center stem. And I'm going to take this stem now and replicate it. All right. And then I'm also going to, that's where the end of it is. But because I'm going to have to attach this to the other one, I'm going to take a bit of an extra length here so that I can attach them all together to create that little area where the 3 branches come together. And again, I'm just going to, this one's got one really close to the top, so I'm going to do that. And sometimes you may find that these are way too long. I tend to overdo it, so you can also cut a bit off of the wire. The amount that I am leaving as an overhang is probably about 3/4 of an inch, this little piece. So you want at least a 1/2 inch for safety. And it looks like there was one there. The other thing you can do at this stage, which you might do, because see, this one was a pretty straight branch, but this one's got a lot of curvature to it, so that it follows that natural kind of curvature. And this will actually come down like that, sort of like that. So it's already starting to get some interest in it. And I'm just going to do one more down here. And see this one, I'm just going to twist it upwards just because it's easier. So it doesn't matter if you twist them up or down. It's whatever works in that particular spot. So for this one, switch it a little bit. I'll do a bud at the top. All right, so I've got this second one done, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that, as I have been twisting and moving things around, that these are sort of where I want them, and they're looking great. Okay, so this one I'm going to put aside, and this is my center, and this is the one that's going to go on this side. So I'm just going to make sure I line them up that way so I don't miss anything. And then my third one is this. This one actually has a bit of the natural curve in it, and I'm gonna bend it again by where the center stem comes, and again follow along. And I have some of these little pieces I had clipped off, and I can also just use them. There's enough on there to twist. All right, so I've got my 3 branches. This one I am just gonna double check. It goes this way, like that. All right, so the next I'm going to take my brown floral tape and I'm going to start wrapping these smaller branches. So start at the top. And if these start to get in your way, you can just pull them out of the way temporarily for now. Remember, you're going to want to pull a little bit on this tape to activate the stick on it. And I'm just going down that center stem. And you see when I get to one of these, I'm going to pull it down or up, depending on which way you had it. And I'm going around that base. And I'm going to cover that attachment point with the tape. And make my way down to the next attachment point. So you might say, oh, well then why did you bother using that rustic looking twine if you're just going to go over it? Well, I find the bendability of this stuff is far easier and more realistic looking in terms of how a floral will look. It's especially when it's a branch that has a lot of it's not like a tulip that might go straight up out of the ground. So that's why I like using this. So I'm just gonna cut that off and try to get that bottom stuck together. So that's the one side. Now I'm going to do the next short side. I'm leaving the long one for the end. You'll see why. So for this one, I have this little bit of that top piece. I'm just going to fold it down just to make my life easier. And pull that down, and that's where I'll start wrapping. And if you see a little piece poking out that might cause issues, just push it down with your pliers. Okay, and that's your second stem done. Okay, and then finally, it's the main stem. So have a look. This goes down to about here is where the join happens. So I'm going to continue to wrap it as I did on the other ones, the exact same way up until approximately that point. Okay, so as I make my way down, I'm going to continually kind of have a look. I'm getting quite close. And so about this point, I'm going to take, they both kind of come in at the same point. So I'm going to take this one and pop it in there. I'll bend it a little bit first. Okay, so that'll go on this side. And the other one will come in around the same point. Actually, what I'll do is I'm going to wrap that one in once or twice first. Like that. And then I'm going to stick this one in. Just a tiny little bit further down. And then bring all those three stems together. Now, the one limitation with doing these stems on this flexible wire is if you end up with too much weight, they can get droopy. So just be mindful of that. Don't do too much on one collection of branches. And you can kind of feel it as you're working. Like I can feel the weight at this one end. But for this one single branch, it'll be fine. Okay, I didn't quite wrap it all the way down because I know that my stem is longer than it needs to be. So just kind of like have a look. So I like how this one actually come in like that. And you can fluff this more too once you get in. You can decide if you want your blossoms to be so that it's like a 360 kind of viewing on it, or if you just intend for it to be seen from one side. That will also dictate how many blossoms you put on. Like see how this one, mine's just from the front, but if you really wanted this around, you might like turn these or just add more blossoms so you can have them all the way around and it looks nice and full. So I'm just going to see, probably just going to tuck that up a little bit and not cut anything yet and try it out in this pot. All right, and one way, if you find that your buds are flying around in this vase and not staying in place, you can try to twist extra wire. You can add more stems in it to try to fill up that opening. So if you twist more wire on, see it starts to really hold true. And if you don't like that look, you can go back over it with more tape, but I like that kind of wild look, so I'm going to leave mine like that. You can also try to wrap and tape it in place with the floral wire, but this is holding pretty well, so I'm probably just going to keep that. Or you can go for a vase with a smaller hole in it. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, that you got something out of it, and thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button below and like this video so more people can find me. Thank you for joining me, and happy crafting.